For every one motherfucker that's out here talking shit to you, there's 100 that have your back, whether that's verbally or not. Some people are supporting you from a distance, and that's okay. That's just the way they show love, or they're busy chasing their own dreams that they don't have time to try and beef you up and give you some sort of pep talk. They've been through it. They know that only the strong are going to survive, and they trust you to get your shit together and not worry about what some keyboard warrior is going to say. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Return on Investment MF channel. It's your host, Zack ROI Williams, and this is the information your haters don't want you to hear about. Becoming the most badass version of yourself in business. What's going on, everybody? This is Zack ROI Williams with another episode of Return on Investment MF channel. So today we're going to be talking about something that's pretty dear to me, but we're going to talk about when do you take the leap? I've been getting this a lot the past few weeks, and it's an honor that people come to me and ask me this type of question because I know how important it is, and I know exactly what people are going through when they build up to be able to ask a question like that. I remember it like it's yesterday in my own, journey, what it was like to sit there and build myself up and ask all these other people the same question that I had, like, I was staring down the barrel of a shotgun for, which is, when is it time to take that leap of faith and go out on my own? I've said this in, multiple podcasts, whether it be, on my own channel or if I was a guest on someone else's, that I don't tell people to jump. I'll never be the person that says, like, you absolutely need to go right now, because I know the stresses that come with it. I know how scary it can be. I know the fights you're going to have with your significant other. I know the sleepless nights, the early mornings. I know what it's going to do when it pulls time away from your family. And, we all sit here and argue all day long that it's for the greater good and that we have, that there's the fruit is going to bear. Well, yes, I'll tell you, it is the best decision I've ever made in my entire life, 100%. But I do know that it is a very, very serious thing. And if you're single, yeah, I'll probably tell you to jump. Absolutely. If you've got a family, though, it changes the dynamic a lot, because in order to be successful, you've got to make sure that your home team, the crew, has your back, because that shit sucks sometimes. And I say sometimes. There's a lot of times that if you ask any entrepreneur if they've had to make sacrifices, and they're going to tell you yes. And a lot of times when they tell you yes, if you don't clarify what a sacrifice is to them, it's going to be any time, attention, or anything like that that's pulled them away from their family. That, yes, at the end of the day, ultimately it's for their benefit, but no one likes missing things. No one likes having to skip out on stuff. No one likes having to tell people that you love no, or not today, or we can't do it right now, or whatever the case is. And that could be whether it's time, finances, you name it. There's lots of ebbs and flows in the entrepreneurial world. And, so sometimes it might be that you've got the time to do it, but you've just had to make a massive investment into new payroll or new services or new products or whatever the case may be, that, even though you got some time that you could dedicate to it, something that y'all maybe had been planning on, a trip or this or that, the ultimate importance is the growth of the business. So you have to put it off. The next, is time. You might have all the money in the world at the moment, but, you've got deadlines that have to be met. Otherwise, all that money can go away. There's a lot that goes into it that is going to stress you out, is going to be heavy on your shoulders. And it's up to you to decide if you're going to be strong enough to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. And, there's a whole nother level of added stress once you start bringing on employees or other people who other people's families rely on you as well. So, I remember it like it was yesterday, taking that leap of faith, and the amount of weight that got put on my shoulders to be able to, make this successful, I'd be a liar if I said that at the beginning there was a lot of attention on this leap of faith for me, because I come from, the digital world. So I had to put myself out there and let people know, hey guys, here I am. Look at me. This is what I'm doing. I need your help. Share this, post this. Do you have any connections here? Any referrals, anything like that? So it was widely known, that I was working for myself. So, I'll be the first to admit at the beginning, there was a lot of stress on my shoulders too, of like, man, the whole world's watching, right? Like all my friends, all my family know that I've made this leap of faith. And if I fail now I'm failing in front of the entire world. Some organizations, you don't have to be that, vocal about what you're doing. But I understand too, if that's something that's sitting in the back of your mind. I will say it all gets better. Now I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. But, I would be lying to you. And I think a majority of, the people that I know, especially in the digital world or whatever, that are now, extremely successful, at one point in time, we did care what other people think, or thought rather. That's a tough pill to swallow too. Every time I do one of these episodes, I try to kind of take myself back and be able to answer these questions, both of a then and now situation. And, now like I said, I don't care what anyone thinks. I made a status the other day that your haters are never going to buy your products or services from you ever. So fuck what they think, and that's definitely where my thought process is on it now. But back then, I'll be the first to let you know that, like, dude, I had haters, man. I had people coming in. I literally had people that were making fake, like going through a lot of work just to talk shit to me. Cause I'd block them on, at first you're like, oh, I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to give in. And then like, you're blocking them, and then they make another fake account. So you block them again. And it just gets to be a lot of work, to the point where you're like, finally, you're just going to put your dick on the table and be like, you know what? Fuck you, bro. Like, I don't give a shit what you think. You can keep saying all this. It's not going to keep me from my dreams. And of course, now here we are, 2.5 years later, and I'm like, damn right, motherfucker. They're definitely, there's no telling what they're doing in their life right now, but I guarantee you it ain't what the fuck I'm doing. So, just keep that in mind about your haters. Your haters are never, ever, ever going to do business with you. So who cares what they think? But in the beginning, like I said, I like to think about the then and now. In the beginning, like that weighed on me. That was a lot of stress, knowing that there's people out there that legitimately don't think that I can do this, that legitimately don't think that I have what it takes to be successful. And unfortunately, I let that get to me. There's several times that my wife would be able to pick up on, my mood changing, all based on someone hopping in my DMs, or like I said, they were like going through and filling out like forms that I had. So they were having to like create fake emails, go in and take the time to fill out this like lengthy form, name, phone number, email. Obviously all that was fake information. But then like in the questionnaires, they were like typing out like shit talking. Like that's how they had to, like, I think the next step's like what, smoke signals. Like they were literally going through a shit ton of work just to like let me know that I was never going to amount to anything. And now when you face that type of situation and that type of hater or group of haters or whatever the case is, it gives you one of two things. It's either going to give you ammunition for you mentally to like talk shit to your own self and go and kind of reclude back into your own thoughts of like, I'm not going to be good enough, or I can't do this, or maybe they're right, or if they think this, how many other people think this. It'll give you your own ammunition if you let it to bury yourself, or it'll give you the motivation to prove them the fuck wrong, which is what I used it for. But again, going back to the then, I'd be a liar if I said that it didn't affect me in the beginning, and that was something that I had to learn to get over. Now, in that same breath, I'll tell you that for every one motherfucker that's out here talking shit to you, there's 100 that have your back, whether that's verbally or not. Some people are supporting you from a distance, and that's okay. That's just the way they show love, or they're busy chasing their own dreams that they don't have time to try and beef you up and give you some sort of pep talk. they've been through it. They know that only the strong are going to survive, and they trust you to get your shit together and not worry about what some keyboard warrior is going to say. So, with all this, I just want to set the foundation and let you guys know what you're coming into, because the shit can suck. Like I said, I'll never be the one to push someone off the bridge or push someone off that side of the fence. If they're sitting on the fence, I'll give them all the information they need. In fact, I think I just did this last night or the night before. I had a buddy come to me and like, hey man, when you knew, when did you know that you knew? And I was like, well, I can answer this question for you personally because I know where this is coming from. I said, if you're asking these types of questions and you're coming to someone that you know is going to give you the answer that you're looking for, that's when. People don't come to me and ask me that type of question if they don't already know in their heart and soul that they're ready. They're just looking for that extra validation. And again, like I said, I don't push anyone off the edge because I know what that's like. I want you going to bed mad at night. Be like, fuck Zach Williams. He told me to do this and this shit sucks. No, but in the same breath, I'll tell you, it is absolutely hands down the best thing that I've ever gone through or had to go through or have done for my family. I'll tell you, I've been married, in corporate America, and I've been married outside of corporate America in the private sector. And I'll tell you, it's much prettier and much happier over here when you get to make your own decisions. Sometimes you got to make some shitty decisions, but at least it's your decision to make and it's in your control and it's not someone else telling you what to do. One of my good friends, we were trying to plan, a situation where we could all meet up. And, majority of us that were making the decision are all entrepreneurs, are all our own bosses. And so we got to say yes, no, this, that, whatever. They had to go and ask for time off, and it got denied. And that is, a tough pill to swallow, that someone else controls your time. Now, for us as entrepreneurs, I don't know when you're going to actually hear. Actually, I think you'll hear this episode on Monday. But regardless, I don't know when you're actually going to hear this episode, but I'm gearing up to go out of town for an event. And for me, I'm quote unquote taking time off. Now, granted, I'm going to be working the entire time I'm there, networking, this, that, whatever. You guys know as well as I do that anytime I spend time away from my family, I'm fucking working 110% of myself, to make sure that I validate the time spent away from them, that when I come home, I can look them in the eyes and say, Daddy did it. But regardless, I'm not going to be sitting behind my desk, sitting behind my computer, quote unquote, working. So for me, if I need to go do something like this out of town, or even if it is just straight up vacation where I don't even log onto my phone or my computer, I can put in the work prior. 8 hours is easy to make up in, 5 or 10 days worth of work. So if you want to give up, a weekend or have a long weekend, and you want to take Friday and Monday off, it's up to you to put in the work. You know the work that it takes. Now, granted, are there some times where I've gone out of town or gone on a trip and been completely planning on detaching myself completely and a fire starts? Yes, absolutely. I joke around all the time that I put firefighter in my resume. But other than that, as far as making up the time, I can work my schedule however I want. Many of you guys know I'm up at 4 a.m. I get more work done from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. than most people do from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, whatever you regular people work. No, I'm just kidding. But you'd be probably sickened. Maybe not if you're still in corporate America, but if you did some research on the amount of active and efficient time that an employee puts in from the hours of 9 to 5, it would blow your mind on what actual efficient time can look like and how much work you can get completed if you actually put your mind to it. I talk about it all the time. Well, not all the time, but the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. It's over here on my bookshelf. Is a good read for a lot of people. It can help teach you about how to be efficient. And part of the book, it starts going into, remote work and things of that nature. And One of the examples, and I'm paraphrasing, is going up to your boss and asking them, "Hey, I need to take off work at 2 p.m. today to, take my wife to the hospital." The boss responds and says, "Okay, well, just get all your work done that you would have normally done by 5, by 2 o'clock, and then you can take off." And that employee magically gets all that amount of work done. Whereas if they didn't have any, prior commitments, it would have taken them till 5 p.m. to get the work done. They would have strung it out. They would have taken the time, done the bullshit scroll through your email, whatever the case is. But they were able to get that work completed 3 hours prior. Now, why is that? It's because they applied themselves. They had a goal. And, so a lot of times if you were to think about that, when it's time for you to make that leap of faith and know that it's ready, it's time for you to jump off the deep end and actually, take this seriously, it comes down to how efficient are you going to be with your time. 9 to 5 is still 9 to 5. It's the same 8 hours, but how much you get accomplished during those 8 hours is up to you and up to you alone. So, a lot of times when people come to me and ask that question, like, when did you know, or when's the best time? I tell people to start off with it as like your side hustle, because a majority of the times, not all the times, but a majority of the times, what they're doing in their own current 9 to 5 runs relatively parallel to what they're trying to branch off doing most of the time. So I tell people to, start a side hustle and start operating it, whether you go in and start operating that side hustle a couple hours in the morning before you go to work, and then you go to work, or you go to work, complete your 9 to 5, and then do a couple hours after, or maybe like something split where you do a little bit before you go in, go kill it 9 to 5, and then come out and, do a couple hours. Whatever the case is, dedicate some time, part-time to whatever it is that you want to start as your side hustle, or, ultimately take that leap of faith for. Once you see that side hustle, again, and we're going back to efficiency, you're going to see how much harder you're going to work working for yourself than you ever did for the man. So start the side hustle, see how efficient you can be being your own boss and knowing that you're dedicating all this time and, again, efficiency to being the best version of yourself, to the point to where you start to see that this is making you as much money, if not more money, than what you're making 9 to 5. Once you get to that threshold, then you get to make the decision and say, man, if I had 8 more hours during the day to dedicate to this and be this efficient, have this level of efficiency, how much could I make? That's when it's a no-brainer. And then that's when you have a path to cross. And again, this goes back to whether or not you're single or you got a family or whatever other prior commitments you have, is you're already used to working, 10, 12 hours a day. For the first little bit, what would a 10 or 12 hour day work week or work day look like for you if you were being that level of efficiency for the whole 10 or 12 hours? You start cranking that up, start building up some momentum, and depending on where that path splits off, is you might continue on as a solopreneur for a little bit, where it's just you operating on your own behalf, being the whole crew, the boss and the employee, or you come to a crossroads where you decide you could branch off and start bringing on labor. Start bringing on extra hands, and that's when you start being able to learn how to scale a business and actually create what is called a business and not just a high-paying job. That's one of the biggest things that I try and help people with is at the end of the day, they'll come to me and like, hey, man, I'm doing 150 grand a year. I'm doing this, or, maybe I'm doing 200 grand a year, this, that, whatever. And I'm like, well, how many employees do you have? And they're like, well, none. I'm like, oh, congratulations. Like you've got a great job. You have, a high paying job, but it's still a job nonetheless. You don't own a company yet. Now, yeah, well, I have a LLC and I have a trademark and I have this and a company vehicle and, I've got, documentation. Well, that's great. But still, if it's just you and it's all the work and all the income is reliant on you, it is still a job. So, goal one is to, actually start the job, which is actually leaving your 9 to 5, leave the rat race, start your quote unquote job, which is your your business, start that. You're a business owner, but you still have a job. From there, you want to lead into like an actual entrepreneur, an actual business owner where you have employees or VAs or contractors or whatever the case is, but you have other labor, other people that are helping you make money. Now you are that boss. And then from there, then you start really scaling that up and remove yourself from the business. So now you are a president or just a business owner. You're a founder. And now you bought all your time back. You don't have to do any work, and you're still going to get money deposited into your bank account. Now you can work like kind of like a hybrid position, I guess you could say, where you don't technically have to work if you don't want to work. But if you're like me, I love what I do. So I never work a day in my life. So I enjoy it. I don't have to work if I don't want to, and money still gets made or put into my bank account. But if I want to keep scaling this and growing this to where I know it can go, I'm still dedicated to building this out and building this empire that we worked so hard on in the last 2.5 years. Then you get into investor. And then investor is just where you're letting your money work for you. Now, you might, at this point, once you become an investor, you might actually be a CEO or chairman or founder or president or whatever, fucking title you want to give yourself in multiple different businesses. But the ultimate thing is you're allowing your finances, your money, work for you. So now you've bought all your time back and you get to do whatever the fuck it is you want and still make money, but it's not you physically making the money, it is your money making you the money. And that's something that we've been working on, hot and heavy over here, is putting money to work for us so that, I got a lot of friends out there that are in, in the finance industry. And I'm over here saying, like, when I say fuck 401ks and fuck retirement and this and that, whatever, I'm talking about the traditional mindset of, work 65 years for someone else and then you might have enough money to die on. We're over here in our 30s making our money work for us so that by the time we're 35 and 40, we never have to work a day in our life. And that's the ultimate goal. And so, going back to the very beginning of when do you know to take that leap, you've got to know what that future looks like. What are you doing it for? Is it just to get away from that shitty boss that you have, or just to get away from those shitty employees that you don't like, or this or that? Is it freedom of location? Is it freedom of time? Is it, what is it that you really are looking for? Because we've got to begin with the end in mind here and figure out where it is you want to go so we know how to get there. And then that's a big portion of when you actually have a really good vision of what the future looks like for you, that's when it's easy to make that leap of faith. If you don't know what any of that stuff means, or you haven't thought that through yet, it's going to make it really difficult for you to take that leap of faith. It's going to be hard for you to sit back and really wonder, am I about to make the right decision for myself? So get clear on that. Think about that hot and heavy, guys. This channel is going to be great for you if you're in a situation like that. I got a couple of videos that are coming out in the next couple weeks that are going to, probably run in line with about what we talked about here, about motivation, things of that nature. So stay tuned. But again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is Zack ROI Williams with the Return on Investment MF channel. And this is all about when do you take that leap. We'll talk soon, guys. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching that video. If you got anything out of that, check out these dope videos over here. They're going to be extremely similar. And let's try and help get you to that next level.